Our basic product is a customer experience. Of course, wine is a very important part of that product, but that is our fundamental product, the customer experience. I'm Stan Joins with Valley Road Vineyards in Afton, Virginia.
My name is Matthew Brown, and I'm with King Family Vineyards here in Crozet.
Frankly, for better or worse, I was born an extrovert, and I still am an extrovert. Your co-anchor right there. Okay. So the opportunity to see so many friends and strangers and make new friends all the time in a beautiful setting like this is just the capstone on a very fortunate life.
I don't think I really do anything sort of half-heartedly, and I hope that I always bring a sort of fire and a passion to not just hospitality, but to wine, to taking care of people, to representing Virginia and Virginia wine, pretty much across the board. If you're going to do something, I believe that you're supposed to do it full speed.
So the customer experience is, as I said, it's why we're here, and it's why people come here.
Around 3,700 Virginians have been tested by public and private labs. These numbers will, unfortunately, continue to rise.
I feel like the early days of the pandemic, at least for me, sort of felt like an out-of-body experience.
COVID-19 has killed more than 187,000 Americans, and one widely used model predicts the death toll could reach 410,000 by the end of the year.
You know, we did for a while have to more or less furlough a large percentage of our staff and kind of go to a core group of us who came in every day to keep the place kind of together.
And today I signed Executive Order 53, effective at midnight tomorrow, to put additional restrictions on establishments that serve the public.
When you could see that our fundamental business would be evaporating overnight due to COVID and the governmental restrictions that followed that, we immediately were concerned about the well-being of these folks that we would have to furlough because there was no work for them, because it was apparent that the governor felt that he would have to completely shut down certain enterprises like ours and require people to stay at home to the greatest extent possible. And the directives spawned 3 more questions or created uncertainty that didn't exist before, and it was very, very difficult for them, for businesses, and for individuals to know how to conduct themselves.
Crafting the new normal is being able to change and adapt while still keeping true to your main focus. Protecting our staff is protecting us as well. We are very much always in the trenches, so to speak, and sort of a cliche when people say we're not a company, we're a family, but I really feel like that is absolutely the case for us. So we started looking for new ways to arrange our seating, and so fortunately we've got a lot of real estate here, and a lot of great real estate and a lot of different venues, and so it actually opened our own eyes to what we have here. Well, first and foremost, we made a real point of attempting to over-communicate what the environment would be like, the change the environment would be like at our place, as have others, because we wanted people to come knowing that they wanted to be there because they knew what the environment would be like. It's interesting, I think we've only had 2 criticisms on social media throughout all of this, and they were from people who said that we're too compliant, that we make people wear their masks and comply with the cleaning and sanitizing restrictions and the queuing and the distancing and all that, and we'll take it. That's just fine.
When we are greeting guests to the property in a new way, we had to set up an arrangement so that they are all brought into a queue at the entrance to the property, and they are greeted. At that point, there are lots of signs talking about the COVID rules and that sort of thing, where our greeter is there physically, masked up, ensures that everyone who enters the property has got a mask or a face shield on, and explains to them about where they can go, and then directs them to their seat.
We did things like make tasting videos, so folks who either come and do a sort of tasting flight outdoors or get a to-go flight can visit us online and see us sort of share the story of the wines and the story of the winery, and be able to maintain sort of that connection. Essentially, after you pull out your phone app and click the link, it'll pull up a video in which you'll have some background information about King Family Vineyards and some overview about each of the individual wines in the tasting and sort of how they were made and how you might best enjoy them, for us to serve to replace the lost experience of being able to come in and do a proper tasting sort of face-to-face at the bar.
I'd like to thank you for joining us.
Well, we have this other innovation that we actually had before the COVID era began several months earlier, and now it looks as though it were made for the COVID era, which is a trademark name called GoTab. Basically, there's a QR code on the back of the menu, and that enables you to use your smartphone, and the entire menu and pricing and cups, bottles, what are your options are all featured there. You can order whatever you want and pay for it right there through the app, and then of course that is transmitted to our service area. We fulfill it and put the tray out, and there's a separate area for people who order their wine on GoTab to come and pick it up free from the rest of the crowd, so there's no congregational waiting or that sort of thing. One thing that proved essential and also well received by the guests as time went on was that we created a number of additional seating areas. So we began to move tables and chairs over into other areas of our campus.
So we have a number of outdoor sales stations with socially distanced lines that are well spaced out. Now that winter's coming and it's getting a bit cooler, we do have a number of outdoor heaters, fire pits, and ways to sort of help maybe take the edge off a little bit.
Though we want to provide some cooler weather accommodations, so we have introduced what are called fire globes, and they are globe, as the name implies, and the top opens and closes. But it's a natural fire. It's a wood-built fire, not a propane-fired gas pit sort of thing. And those have proven to be very, very popular. Well, most fundamentally, when we couldn't offer the traditional educational tastings for the foreseeable future, to replace that, we've gone to providing flights, which we call a self-guided tour through the wine. So they have our menu, which has the tasting notes and some background on each of the wines, and then they can make a choice of what sort of flight that they want.
In the past, we've always done tasting sort of one wine at a time at a bar, face-to-face. With the ability to do that taken away because of the pandemic, we've offered them now in a flight, so you get all the wines at once. It's a cool change that was sort of forced on us by the pandemic that I anticipate staying with us even after we've all gotten our vaccines. Isn't it Charles Darwin that said that it's not the smartest or the strongest that survive, but those most adaptable and flexible to change? And I'm definitely having that first and foremost in my mind when I'm looking at our plans for the future. And I can't quite say where things are going or how it will change, but I do know that a lot of the adaptations we've made are going to stay around. An increased focus on virtual tastings, an increased focus on e-commerce and online marketing, while it's nice having folks come to visit, we're now getting to interact with people who are too far away to come drop by. And so in a very funny way, we've sort of expanded our audience during the quarantine.
There's much more of an abundance mentality here, the old barn raising mentality, which I immediately took to. In other words, my fellow farm winery owners rarely see another farm winery owner or farmer as a threat. They see them as a colleague and somebody who's involved in the same great and fun endeavor that they are involved in. So my, I guess my natural affinity for the abundance mentality plays well here.
And it's just been fun to see all of us. I think the most joyful part of working in the wine trade here in Virginia is that none of us really see each other as competitors, but always as sort of friends and colleagues. And then when something really bad happens, to see that even made stronger, I think has been really cool.
One memory that comes out of this that will be enduring is at this time when we were left only to provide curbside sales. We had this experience over and over and over again, and it was warming and affirming and inspiring. And that was that a customer would call ahead and they would order their 3 bottles or whatever they wanted. We would get the credit card, we would fulfill the order in a package, and they would drive up, as I said, and we would go out, and time again, when I would open that trunk to put our package of 3 wines in there, there would be 3 or 4 or 5 other packages of 3 or 4 bottles of wine from our neighboring wineries. And of course what that means is that mostly local folks, but great folks would get out in their cars and they would drive up and down and around the wine country out here in Central Virginia and just try to support the wineries by buying a bottle here and 2 bottles there and a bottle there, and they would do it all over again the next week. And as I said, that is what I will take away from this.